everybody, welcome to this edition of PMAT Live. This is the prequel to making pretzels that I've been promising you guys for quite a while. These are my friends, they're here to help today. Please introduce yourselves.
Sophie. Jackson.
Sophie and Jackson are here to help because why?
Because the pretzels are really good.
Because the pretzels are really good. Here are the ingredients. I will tell them to you and then you'll be able to read them on the screen as well. 2 ounces melted butter, 11.5 ounces water, a heavy pinch of dried yeast. We went with 1 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon of malt syrup or brown sugar if you don't have malt syrup, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 22 ounces of all-purpose flour. Okay, so we're back. We're going to measure out all of our ingredients. We're going to put the wet ingredients all together in this pitcher of water that Sophie already measured out at, how much do you remember?
11.5.
Yeah. 11.5 ounces, and that's in here. Already pre-measured, she did an excellent job. We're going to put the yeast in here as well as the
Brown sugar.
The brown sugar, exactly, which we are using in place of the malt syrup because Jenny did not go to the store. We also have our 2 ounces of butter that Mr. Jackson over here measured for us. That's going to go into a pan. We're going to melt it on the stove. It'll be great. And all the wet stuff is going to go together. And then we'll put the salt and the flour into this big old beautiful bowl. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I love this bowl. And then we'll mix everything together. So here we go. Okay, so this is our 11.5 ounces of water, to which Sophie is going to add a teaspoon of this dried yeast. Beautiful. And Jackson is going to add the tablespoon of brown sugar. Lovely. We'll stir everything together. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. Jackson, you're going to be in charge of the flour. You're going to do how much?
11 ounces.
11 ounces of all-purpose flour. So you've got the bowl on the scale, and Sophie pushed the tare button, so we're not weighing the bowl. We're just going to be weighing the flour that goes into the bowl. Okay. And 11. Beautiful. Thank you so much. You can just toss that in there. Out of the way. So if you want to do a teaspoon of salt to go with that, please. Right in on top of the flour. Great. So we have salt and flour here. We have water, yeast, and brown sugar here. And all that we need is the butter. Okay, so as you can see, Jackson has put the melted butter on a little silicone hot pad on the counter. We've got what in here?
Flour and salt.
Flour and salt, and in here we have
Yeast and brown sugar.
and
Water.
water. Okay, so that's really it. It's literally just 6 ingredients. This is not a difficult thing to do. We're just going to pour our yeast in with the flour and salt and put the butter in, and we're just going to mix it together. I mean, literally, not rocket science. Beautiful. And then in goes the melted butter. Again, you want to make sure that your butter's not too hot. If your temperature of your yeast goes above 140, they die, so we don't really want that to happen. We add 1 teaspoon of salt with 11 ounces of flour, which is half of the measurement. At the beginning with all the rest of the ingredients, mix those up, and then add the second 11 ounces of flour and another teaspoon of salt. So Jackson, if you would just dump the whole business out right on the counter, the dry stuff and all. You might have to scrape it some with your hand. So as you can see, this is like really, really dry, but if you'll notice, the part that's mixed together is really gooey. It's going to be way too gooey to work. So what we're going to do, we're going to split this in half. Jackson's going to do part of it, and I'm going to do part of it. Smash it down. Heels of your hands. In the middle. Push out. Pull back. And this is called kneading. We're doing 2 steps at once here. We're incorporating the rest of that flour. And the second thing we're doing is we are activating the gluten. Gluten is the protein in flour, in wheat flour, that's very stretchy. So like your pizza crust is chewy. It's because of the gluten. Now I'm going to show you another sneaky trick. It's called frissage. So put your dough over here by your right side with all of your little flour and stuff. Good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the heel of your hand on the very edge, and you're going to take a tiny little bit and smash it really hard on the counter. Good. And leave it there. You're going to come back and get some more. Do the same thing. It's going to be a little messy, but eventually your whole pile of dough is going to end up over here. What this does, this is about the hardest smashing you can do, crushing it between the heel of your hand and the countertop, while rolling it along. And you'll see once you get it all done that your dough is going to be much springier, and all of your flour should be incorporated at that point. Of course, you can make this in the mixer with your dough hook attachment, but we don't need no stinking dough hook, do we, Jackson? No, we don't. We have our hand. Okay, so we've been kneading for what, like forever?
Yeah.
Probably about 7 minutes.
How do I know when it's good enough to stop?
Oh, that's a good question. So our first indicator was if the dough was smooth. So far, what do you think?
Pretty smooth.
Pretty smooth, yeah. It was kind of lumpy when we started. And then we talked about the window pane, so let's do that and check that out. You do one too. Okay, see how you can see Jackson's finger behind his little window pane? The third thing, Jackson is demonstrating the springiness. It's extremely springy. Excellent. Jackson and I have made this beautiful ball of pretzel dough, and we're going to be able to make 12 pretzels from it. So now what we need to do is let this rise, and this is going to take at least an hour. One of the reasons it takes a while to rise is because we didn't use a lot of yeast. So the longer it takes to rise, the better the flavor is going to be. Throw the ball of dough into the bowl, spray the top of the ball, cover it, and just let it hang out until it's big and poofy and wonderful. And then it will be time to shape the pretzel. And that's that. So thank you so much for your help. That does it for this episode of PMAT Live. We'll see you later, and thanks for watching.